Hello, subscribers. So one of the subscriptions I have on YouTube is to the Bible Flock Box, which is actually a Seventh-day Adventist channel. And no, I am not a Seventh-day Adventist, but I subscribe to him because he seemed to make good arguments. But a lot of his posts, especially on Facebook, have to do with Saturday being the Sabbath and that whole thing. And I do want to eventually make an argument against that position someday, but that would be a long way off and requires some study. But I bring this up because at some point, some months ago, more than 3, because that's where his community post stopped, he posts a community post recommending a certain video by Little Light Studios. Now, I have never seen Little Light Studios at any of their videos, but I bring this up because he claimed that they were gonna argue for there being pedophilia in Sailor Moon and Dragon Ball, which is just ridiculous. And I was gonna give Little Light Studios the benefit of the doubt and assume that Greg, the person who runs Bible Flockbox, was just mistaken and conflating 2 different topics together. But as I'm looking at their thumbnails, it might actually be the case that they're gonna argue for pedophilia in Sailor Moon, which is so dumb. Unless they're watching a really late season of Sailor Moon that I have not seen, there is no pedophilia to be found in it. Especially not Dragon Ball. They got a video here about Dragon Ball Satanic Savior, and I already know what they're gonna say in that one. That's obvious. I'll give them that one. But from what I can see, they are one of those very legalistic, criticize everything type of channels. Everything is satanic. And I'm sure they're right in some cases, but this will be my first time ever watching any Little Light Studios. I'm going to start with all of these because they're short. I'll go ahead and watch all of them. And then we'll move into the main topic, which is somewhere up here. Dark Secrets of Anime Exposed, Part 1 of 4. There is no Part 2. This was 8 months ago. They never made a Part 2. That's 53 minutes long, so that'll take me a while. And then I'll come back and share what I have learned going down this rabbit hole. Alright, let's get into it. Okay. Wow, first thoughts. I'm a little conflicted about the production quality, but I'll go over that in a moment. The first half of the video seemed fine. I actually was thinking, oh, I'm not going to hate this as much as I thought I would. Until the second half when they started talking about Dragon Ball Z. And they just overdid it, just looking for any connection they could find, even if they had to make up the connection. But let's go back through it and nitpick. See, this seems like some pretty good production quality, but then, a little later...
Is that anime in the kids section?
Yeah, isn't that crazy? There's a ton of it on Netflix.
Then we get this. This is a stark contrast to the production quality we just saw. And it's not just the animation. Their voice acting is pretty lame as well. I would have preferred if they would have just foregone all this pretending to be a conversation and just came out and say what they wanted to say. So they start off by giving a brief history of anime, and that part is okay. They talk to some people at a convention to find out when they got into anime and what their first anime was, stuff like that, fine. So one of the first animes they really go over is Heaven's Lost Property, which I have never heard of, but from what I see here, I pretty much completely agree with them on this point, which I almost have to since I haven't seen it, and from what I've seen, I don't want to see it. So then they get into Sailor Moon, and my first complaint I have here is that they didn't use the original. It seemed like they used some sort of reboot that I've never seen, because Serena's voice is completely different than the one I remember. That may or may not work to their advantage, I don't know. So this next scene is a little, lacking in self-awareness.
There's even a scene of the characters engaging in sex.
Okay,
This certainly is not kids' material.
Maybe we should pause it.
I'll get it.
Hey, Fiesta Taco Delivery, where there's a party in every bag.
Did anybody order tacos?
Tacos? No, I didn't order it, but that should definitely be what we have for lunch.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull a Little Light Studios right here and mention that many people use tacos as a euphemism. That is the kind of thing you will see Little Light Studios do, and yet here they are doing the very kind of thing they would probably make a video on. While talking about a sex scene, a taco delivery guy comes and they want to eat tacos. Also, Sailor Moon is not a middle schooler, she's in high school. I'm pretty sure about that. Granted, it's been a long time since I've seen Sailor Moon, but still. So this would be the first major issue I have with this video. Pedophilia needs to be defined. They are calling the relationship between Serena and Darien pedophilia, and not just inappropriate. But first of all, I have to point out they were fiancés before they got reincarnated, which surprisingly, this video doesn't really touch on the reincarnation aspect. They focus on a lot of more esoteric stuff that's not so obvious, but they completely skip over the reincarnation that happens. But back to the pedophilia. You have to draw a line somewhere. It's not pedophilia if she's a teenager. It's still inappropriate, but it's not specifically pedophilia.
In a scene where Usagi's love interest, Mamoru, accidentally kisses an extremely young 5-year-old Sailor Chibi, which, how do you accidentally kiss a 5-year-old?
They just showed you. You just watched how it accidentally happens.
Usagi becomes jealous when she thinks her boyfriend is falling in love with a grade school girl.
It seems like the only thing you care about lately is Chibiusa. Do you like her? Do you think she's that cute?
What? That's ridiculous. She's still in elementary school. She's just a little kid.
So what if she's little? That doesn't matter in love.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
Yeah, I will give you that one. Yeah, that did not sound right. But here's something that may come up again. What did the original Japanese say? I assume the original Japanese says the same thing as this dub, but we're gonna see later that they don't double check that when it comes to Dragon Ball Z.
Love to spring up. Naru, who is also aged 14, falls in love with Naphrite, who is 19.
This is disturbing. You can click.
14 and 19 is only 5 years. That's not the worst. That's not disturbing. Not to mention, you said the 14-year-old fell in love with the 19-year-old. So that's not even pedophilia. I mean, it wasn't pedophilia anyway, from what I've already discussed. But you know, some 14-year-olds could pass for 19, and some 19-year-olds could probably pass for 14. Obviously, that line earlier about age not mattering in love is wrong and should not have been said, but you can't go to the other extreme and say age is super important. There is this such thing as context, and then apparently there's some sort of transsexual Sailor Scouts that I have never seen that in any Sailor Moon I've seen. I haven't seen all of Sailor Moon, of course, but I definitely have not seen that. But I will agree with them that that is a horrible thing.
Do you guys notice the symbols on their forehead? Look like they are taken from astrology. Check
Yes, of course they're taken from astrology, because it's Sailor Moon.
this out.
Wow, it reminds me of when the book of Revelation describes God's people having a seal on their foreheads and the wicked having a mark of the beast in their foreheads. Also, like the opening of the third eye in Eastern and New Age religions, there's a ton of demonic possession in this show.
At one
Alright, stop right there. None of that was demonic possession. That did not follow from anything you just said. Also, he says Mark of the Beast for this mark on the forehead, but later in the Dragon Ball Z, he'll flip it to a different mark because it's like they have a narrative they want to present, and they will use whatever Bible verse they want to get that narrative across.
There's a ton of demonic possession in this show.
At one point, Sailor Moon cries out to Saturn, which is completely pagan, and in some
Saturn is a Sailor Scout. Now, this is a problem that I don't know this episode, but I would assume that she's calling out Saturn because of the Sailor Scout, Saturn.
character Tuxedo Mask blasphemously calls Sailor Moon the Messiah.
The Messiah.
Notice that
Yeah, that's obviously a problem. Okay, then they try and link Sailor Moon to Wiccan. And I'm on the fence with this one, but they try to make the connection with elements. Apparently, Wiccan has something to do with the 4 elements and the 5th element being spirit, but that doesn't really connect. Jupiter, her element is lightning. It's not one of the 4 elements. Venus doesn't use an element at all, and neither does Sailor Moon. So it really doesn't match up. Okay, I gotta go back here. I was scrubbing through looking for a particular scene, and I noticed something I didn't notice before.
Audience, let alone children. It may seem cute and colorful, but its main protagonists, which, by the way, are supposed to be 14-year-olds, are often in compromising scenes with extreme nudity.
Extreme nudity. Not just nudity, extreme nudity. There's no nudity in Sailor Moon. This right here is what we call implied nudity. That is nowhere near extreme.
Nudity. Here in the United States, pedophilia is a big no, and it's a
And I'm pretty sure it's a big no in Japan as well. They just recognize that 14 doesn't cross that line. Assuming that Serena actually is 14. I would have said she's 16. It's been a long time. I will give them the benefit of the doubt that she's 14, but anyway.
You know, this show's been around since the mid-90s, and there's a ton of episodes, somewhere in the range of like 600 plus in total.
Wow, that is a serious investment of time if you watch all of those.
You're not kidding.
Nobody tell Little Light Studios about One Piece.
You see, like Sailor Moon, there's a ton of highly inappropriate sexual content and dirty innuendos. Some of the scenes are so disturbing.
We have very different definitions of what is highly sexual content. There is no nudity, well, unless you count a naked butt and Goku at one time. I don't count that.
To tour pretty much anyone.
This one definitely looks like Dragon Ball, but I do not remember this episode.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that definitely seemed like Dragon Ball animation. I do not remember that episode at all, but I will agree with Little Light Studios on that one. That was a little inappropriate.
So many of these extremely inappropriate scenes that it's crazy the American public doesn't ban it due to its promotion of pedophilia. When
That is
speaking
not
to
a
the Dragon
promotion.
Balls, the young
That is not a promotion of pedophilia.
Goku is seen sneaking a peek at Bulma's underwear. Also, really
Yeah, she is older than him. That is the opposite of pedophilia.
disturbing is this scene of Master Roshi asking to see under Bulma's dress.
A peek at your underwear.
Dirty old man! Well, if being made into an embarrassing object is what it takes to get my wish, then okay! I've duped them into thinking this bothers me, and I get an easy Dragon Ball! Heck, underwear's not much different from a bathing suit! Ta-da!
That is pretty much the most nudity Dragon Ball actually shows, other than that one scene with Goku, who's too young for it to really count. And I'm assuming Little Light agrees with me because they didn't bring that scene up. And given what they're trying to say, you'd think they would have. But is Master Roshi being a pedophile? No, he's being a dirty old man, but not a pedophile. Bulma is... I have no idea how old Bulma is in this scene. I want to say 16. That's my go-to. But she is on her own, traveling the world. As I said that, I thought of Ash from Pokemon. He's only 10 and he's traveling the world. So, it might not be a good argument to say that she's on her own and traveling the world. But still, she's not 12, so not pedophilia. Okay, and then about halfway through, they break in to tell us stuff about the video. Apparently I guess they got all 4 parts already finished, and it's all on one DVD, but they couldn't post it on YouTube because copyright claims, copyright strikes. And it's after this point that I really started to have a problem with the things they were saying about Dragon Ball.
Over the earth in order to have 2 wishes granted by the Dragon Lord. The theme song repeatedly
Oh, I didn't notice when I first watched it that they called him the Dragon Lord. He's just called the Dragon, not the Dragon Lord.
The book of Revelation called Satan a dragon. So basically they are asking Satan to get them.
the story.
No, they are not. That is a huge stretch. And this is the kind of stretch they're gonna keep going back to. Their problem with this argument they're trying to make. Revelation is not the only place you find the word dragon. It's in Ezekiel, Jeremiah, Isaiah, Psalms, and Nehemiah. I would have assumed Job, but it's not coming up in the word search. It is not only used to reference Satan. So this is a big leap in logic to just claim that they are asking Satan for help when summoning the dragon. It also might be inconsistent with some other things they're gonna say.
Who was sent down to Earth as a baby. In the Dragon Ball anime, they are 3 supreme beings called the Super Saiyan Gods from Universe
I don't remember that part of the anime.
7 that send the baby Goku down to...
That's certainly not right. I assume maybe that's from the original Dragon Ball. But no, Saiyans weren't introduced until Dragon Ball Z, so that makes no sense.
The Earth.
I don't know where they are getting this particular story from.
To destroy it.
Isn't that kind of like the story of God sending Jesus down to Earth?
No, it's actually like Superman. This is what I was talking about, where they're trying to link everything to the Bible, and they're just overextending themselves.
That's right, Michelle. Now you're seeing who this really is. In the end, Goku takes the war back to heaven and destroys it.
No, he doesn't. There is absolutely no justification for this argument. In no way, in no episode, does Goku ever destroy heaven.
They're not even hiding whose side Goku is on. Goku's team is called the Dragon Team.
No, it's not. Where's that? Oh, dang it. Hang on. No point are they ever called the Dragon Team. They are called the Z Warriors, which doesn't make a lot of sense because I have no idea where they get the Z from, other than the title of the show, but still, they're not called the Dragon Team.
Attributes of God?
Actually, they do. For example, the villain King Cold has a title called the King of the Universe. Frieza, his son, is like the Prince of the Universe, much like Jesus is referred to as the Prince.
Guess what? Satan is also called a prince. That is not a connection you can make.
King Cold has 2 sons, making his family somewhat of a kind of trinity.
Well, that's... Listen, if you're gonna try and make that connection, the anime has to give you that from the outset. Cooler only appears in 2 non-canon movies. So, as far as canon goes, there is only King Cold and his son Frieza. Cooler does not exist in canon. 3 is the pretty magic number. You're gonna find 3 in any show. Whether it be 3 of this or 3 of that. You can't just say, oh look, here's 3, that must be a reference to the Trinity. Doesn't work like that.
During the fight with Frieza, he asks Goku who he is, and he says he is the savior of the world.
What are you?
I am the hope of the universe.
Here, this is what I was talking about earlier about them not checking translations. If you check, I don't know, there's a lot of YouTube channels out there that will mention this part and how this is a bad translation. That whatever dubbing company did it at the time decided they wanted to push the Superman angle, and this is what they went with. If you're gonna argue about this scene and what it says, go to the original language. As people who I assume would want to defend the Bible, you should know something about going to the original language.
And the ending.
This Gateway anime is full of satanic imagery. And what's with the sigil of Lucifer in Vegeta's forehead?
Sigil of
That one I actually did not see coming. I have no idea how purposeful that may have been, but that is an M from Majin Buu, but that is a remarkable coincidence if it is one.
Try to move your body.
And whenever a character's possessed, we see that sigil in their forehead.
No, you don't. You just showed a scene which you were showing as an example of possession, and he did not have that symbol. That, just pay attention to what you're doing. Okay, they're trying to compare Goku to Satan and Vegeta to Jesus. And their excuse for Vegeta being Jesus is that he gives his life. Guess what? Goku also gave his life. You cannot have your cake and eat it too. It's fine to notice symbolism, but you can't just go looking for symbolism. Use some eisegesis, not exegesis.
Seat found in his mouth.
So putting this seal on the villain's forehead makes this sealing appear to be evil. The Bible describes a seal that will be placed on the foreheads of God's true followers. Revelation 9:4 speaks about the sealing.
And why can't this just be the mark of the beast? You are using the marks as you see fit in order to tell your narrative. When you wanted it to be the mark of the beast for Sailor Moon, you said, okay, now it's the mark of the beast. But now that it's on the villains, you want to say it's the mark of God. You cannot have it both ways. Unless you have a much stronger case to make this comparison. Do not make this comparison.
We see one of the Saiyans creating life out of the dust of the ground.
No, he's not. He's planting seeds in the ground. That is not making life out of the dust. Oh, dang it, I did it again. I keep trying to press 2 for my emote, but I have to have the thing selected. Did you actually watch the show? Because it's moments like these that make me feel like you haven't. I don't know where you're getting your information if you haven't, but if you have, you should have known he was planting seeds, not making life out of dirt.
Another trinity in this saga, Bibbidi Bobbidi and Boo.
No, you can't just put Trinity wherever you like. Bibbidi isn't even around, I don't think. This is a better comparison to the Trinity than your last one, but it's still forced.
Deceiver of the whole world, he was thrown down to earth, and his angels were thrown down with him, just like Goku was cast down to earth.
No, not at all like Goku. Goku is more akin to Superman. If you're gonna try and make this comparison, then be consistent and also compare it with Superman. You cannot just make these random connections. I don't think I need to say anything about that. That one's pretty obvious. I do wonder what the original Japanese is, but I think it's probably the same. I can definitely grant them this one.
Speaking of inverted gospel, you guys ever heard about the anime Neon Genesis Evangelion?
Hey, isn't Neon Genesis Greek for, is it new beginning?
And Evangelion means gospel.
Right, it's about a new beginning of the gospel.
I would actually say new beginning gospel, not new beginning of the gospel. That's assuming your translation's right.
Yeah, I bet I can guess what kind of twisted message they're going to interweave into this story.
This sounds super intriguing. I'd love to hear what you have on that.
This one's pretty messed up, but
I doubt that this one's kind of hard. There's a lot of religious symbolism in Evangelion.
But I can't get into it right now. I've got a podcast I'm doing tonight with a ministry called School for Prophets, and I can't be late.
Oh man, you can't leave us like that. Give us a little sneak peek.
All right, but just 2 minutes, then I gotta head.
Yeah, that'll give your kids some nightmares.
Same time tomorrow?
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
That's a very good thing. I like nightmares. Well, they never made a part 2, so, or at least they don't have a part 2 on their YouTube channel. And there's definitely no way I'm gonna buy the DVD after seeing how recklessly they try to fit the Bible into every little thing. Now, there's a lot to be said, I'm sure, about Evangelion when they get around to it. But I don't exactly trust them to do a fair job of it, given that they did not look at the original language for the Dragon Ball Z episodes, and maybe not Sailor Moon either. They're trying to they're looking for symbolism and trying to fit it in there without ever asking what the original intent was, which makes for a very unfair comparison. But I'm glad I got this out of the way now, and I will not be subscribing to this channel.